Imagine for a moment that all the noise of the world, every insult, every cold glance, every moment of resistance, is not a disturbance, but a note in a larger, hidden melody. What if the people who anger us, the moments that us, are not interruptions to our peace, but invitations? Invitations to see differently, to hear more clearly the quiet rhythm beneath the chaos. You are not a separate self under siege. You are a wave in the ocean, not apart from its tides, but carried by them, shaped and shaping in return. The ones who provoke you are not obstacles, but mirrors, reflecting the edges of your own becoming. There is no enemy, only the dance of forms swirling in divine precision to someday. And when you finally hear the music behind the movement, you no longer fight the rhythm, you join it, hoping to someday, because you were never meant to conquer the world. You were meant to understand your place within its sacred unfolding. Someday, most of us have been taught to believe that anger is something others cause in us, as if someone else's words, glances, or behavior have the power to leap inside us and ignite flames. But that's a bit like blaming the wind for the fire you keep feeding. You see, anger isn't something others do to you. It's a spark that finds fuel in you, a flame that grows only if you agree to tend it. Now, someday, this isn't to say we shouldn't feel. Feelings arise like waves on the ocean, inevitable, beautiful, sometimes thunderous. But we are not those waves. We are the ocean itself, the stillness beneath, the sky above, the great, witnessing awareness in which these passing tempests appear and vanish. When someone offends you, criticizes you, or tries to push your buttons, they are tossing pebbles into a still pond. But if the pond is deep and calm, the ripples fade quickly. It only becomes a storm when you identify with the surface, hoping to someday. We've grown up in a world that idolizes reaction. You see it everywhere. Shouting matches dress as debates, hoping to someday. Conflict mistaken for passion, outrage celebrated as honesty. But there's a deeper power in non-reaction, in resting as awareness, in allowing the winds to blow without losing your center. You do not need to engage every disturbance. To someday, you do not need to answer every provocation. The tree does not argue with the wind, it bends, it sways, and then returns to stillness. What if you could watch your anger rise without becoming it? Simply observe the heat in your chest, the quickening of your breath, the tighten of your jaw, as if watching weather roll through the sky of your awareness, and let it pass, like thunder rumbling far off in the distance. You see, the secret is not in resisting the feeling, but in recognizing that you are the space in which the feeling appears. Hoping to summit it, you are not the storm, you are the sky. When someone insults you, they are not describing you, they are revealing themselves. Their words are not a mirror unless you make them one. Their hostility is not an obligation unless you make it personal. But you are under no such command. You can let their noise echo through the vastness of your silence without reacting. To someday, you can be the mountain unmoved by the shouting in the valley below. And this isn't about being passive, hoping to someday. This isn't about allowing injustice or staying silent in the face of harm. It's about acting from clarity, not from impulse. When you are calm, your choices are precise. When you are still, your words carry weight, hoping someday. You don't need to raise your voice when your presence speaks volumes. We spend so much energy defending the fragile idea of me, this constructed self that gets wounded so easily by opinions, by looks, by stories that aren't even ours. But who were you before you learned to be offended, hoping to someday? Who were you before the world told you what to react to? That's the space you're being called back into. That is the deep self, quiet, vast, and untouched by the noise. So the next time anger begins to rise, pause, breathe. Feel the heat, yes, but do not become the fire. Watch it go. Return to the sky. Return to the stillness beneath it all. Because nothing and no one can shake what is already resting in truth. And once you realize you are the sky, not the storm, hoping to someday, even the loudest thunder becomes just another passing sound in the symphony of your silence. To someday. Isn't it strange how certain people seem to know exactly how to press our buttons? How to ignite that flicker of irritation or ignite a firestorm inside us with just a look, a comment, or even their mere presence. But perhaps what's even stranger is that we continue to believe they are the cause. To someday. As if these people are architects of our suffering rather than messengers of something deeper within ourselves. You see, the universe is far more poetic than it appears. It doesn't throw random characters into your life for no reason. Every encounter, especially the difficult ones, is a reflection, an echo of something unresolved, seen, or unhealed within you. Hoping to someday, not punishment, not cruelty, but an invitation, a nudge, a mirror held up so you might see not just the other, but yourself more clearly. When someone bothers you deeply, it isn't always about who they are. Often, it's about what they awaken in you. A harsh word from a stranger might bounce off harmlessly, but the same word from a parent, a partner, it cuts. Why? Because it touches something raw, something personal, something still clinging to an old story. And that's where the treasure is hidden. In this way, those who provoke us are like unwitting spiritual teachers. To someday, they challenge the fragile scaffolding we've built around our identities. They pull at the threads of the persona we wear. And if we're willing to be curious instead of combative, someday, we might see that our reaction isn't about them at all. It's about the story we've told ourselves about what their behavior means, hoping to someday. The beauty of this understanding is that it returns you to your power. Because if they are not truly the source of your anger, hope to someday, then you are not their victim. You are free. You're no longer tethered to the moods, judgments, or actions of others. Their storms do not need to rain on your peace. Think of it like this. When someone throws you a gift of anger, bitterness, or insult, and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong? It stays with them. You are not obligated to carry it. And if you can see them, not as threats, but as souls lost in their own storms, you begin to meet the world with compassion instead of resistance. Of course, this isn't easy. The ego will scream for revenge, for justice, for recognition. It wants to defend its territory, to prove it is right, to stay intact. But in truth, each moment of offense is a doorway into humility, into a deeper seeing, hoping to someday, a chance to dissolve the hard edges of self and step into the quiet spaciousness that sees beyond roles and wounds. The more you recognize others' echoes of your fears, your desires, your hidden shame or unmet needs, the more grace you offer them, and with that grace comes freedom. You're no longer caught in the trap of trying to fix, change, or control what anyone else says or does. You simply watch, breathe, and allow, because you've stopped dancing with their shadow and started returning to your light, hoping to someday. When you understand that life sends you not enemies, but reflections, not opponents, hoping to someday, but instruments in the symphony of your evolution, then even the most difficult people lose their power to disturb you. And in that moment of seeing, you realizing, hoping to someday, no one can truly bother you when you no longer deny the part of yourself they've come to reveal. Hoping to someday, there's a quiet intelligence at work in the universe, one far beyond the calculations of the mind. It doesn't operate in straight lines or with the logic of clocks and maps. It moves like rivers, winding, unpredictable, often carving beauty through the most unlikely of terrains. And if you begin to trust this rhythm, you'll see that nothing that enters your life is ever truly out of place, hoping to someday. It's easy to imagine that peace will come once the difficult people are gone, once the noise is quieted, once life finally plays by your rules. But what if the very people who disturb your peace are here not to disrupt it, but to reveal where it was never fully rooted to begin with? What if every irritation, every offense, every challenge is part of a larger design, a sacred unfolding crafted not to punish you, but to awaken you? We tend to divide life into good and bad, friend and foe, pleasant and painful. But this duality is an illusion born of the mind's attempt to control what it cannot comprehend. The soul, on the other hand, does not divide. It absorbs, it learns, it listens. And it recognizes that even discomfort has its divine purpose, especially discomfort, for that is where growth begins. The people who provoke you, who challenge your patience or test your kindness, are not random misfires in the cosmic plan. They are catalysts. You see, life knows precisely where your armor is weakest, where your wounds still live unhealed, where ego still flinches and flares. So it sends you experiences, not to hurt you, but to soften you, to open you, hoping to someday, to make you more aware of the places where you are still at war within yourself. When you understand this, even the person who annoys you at work or the loved one who doesn't understand you becomes a kind of sacred mirror, not because their behavior is right, but because it is useful, hoping to someday. It shows you where you are still holding on, where your peace depends on conditions, where your love is still tied to agreement. Now, some might hear this and think it's about passivity, about letting people walk over you. But no, it's far more powerful than that. It's about responding instead of reacting, about choosing presence over punishment, about seeing the soul behind the mask and the lesson beneath the discomfort. Someday it's about walking through life with the calm certainty that nothing comes to you by accident, and that everything is part of your becoming. You are not here to mold the world to fit your preferences. You are here to awaken through the world exactly as it is. And sometimes, the greatest teachers come in the form of those who push all your buttons, not to torment you someday, but to show you that the buttons themselves no longer need to exist. The tree doesn't curse the storm for shaking its branches. It uses the wind to strengthen its roots. And so can you. Each difficult moment, each abrasive encounter, is an opportunity not to harden but to deepen, to expand your patience, to soften your judgment, hoping to someday, to anchor yourself in the knowing that all things, even the unpleasant, have their role in the divine play. So you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this showing me?" That simple shift changes everything. No longer the victim, no longer the judge, only the witness, curious and calm, learning to see perfection even in the mess, hoping to someday. And when you come to trust that nothing is misplaced, not even the chaos, you discover a peace that no person, no word, no moment can take away. There's a common misunderstanding about what it means to be calm. Many believe it's weakness, that stillness is passivity or a sign of detachment, of not caring. But stillness is not an absence. It is a presence. And in many ways, it is the most profound kind of power. Because when you are truly still, deeply rooted in your own awareness, hoping to someday, nothing can shake you. Not because you're indifferent, but because you see through the illusion of urgency, the theater of ego, hoping to someday, in the noisy drama of reaction. We often think strength is about being louder, faster, sharper. But real strength is quiet, hoping to someday. Real strength doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't rush to respond. It waits, watches, and moves only when the movement is necessary, and always with grace. And in that space between stimulus and response, that sacred pause, lives your entire freedom. When someone tries to provoke you, hoping to someday, when they throw their anger at you like a stone into a pond, your impulse might be to throw one back, hoping to someday, or to stir the water just to show you're alive. But when you've touched stillness, you don't need to retaliate. You realize that reacting is a kind of surrender to them, to your own conditioning, to a script you no longer need to play. Hoping to someday, there is something luminous about a person who does not rise to every bait, who doesn't answer every insult with heat, who can sit in the center of chaos and still see clearly. That clarity is not passive, it's precise. It doesn't deny the world. It simply refuses to be consumed by it. And in that refusal lies its sovereignty. The person who bothers you, the situation that triggers you, is not asking for your explosion. It is asking for your evolution. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, you rewire your being. You become less like a puppet pulled by strings, and more like a conscious participant in the unfolding of your own life, hoping to someday. And the beauty of this stillness is that it doesn't mean doing nothing, hoping to someday. It means doing the right from the right place, an action born from clarity rather than chaos. Stillness allows you to hear the quiet wisdom beneath the noise, to act not because you must, but because it is right, and that difference changes everything. Silence, too, is often misunderstood. To someday, people fear silence because they associate it with emptiness. But silence is not void, it is space. It is where you meet yourself, hoping to someday, where the clamor of the world dissolves, and you can finally hear the deeper music, the hum of life itself. And when you respond from that silence, your words have weight. Not many, but enough, because they are not spoken to win, but to reveal. So in your daily life you'll find moments, some small, some sharp, where your peace is challenged. Someone will cut you off, speak over you, misunderstand you, and there will be that familiar tug to react. But in that moment, hoping to someday, you can remember you are not here to be pulled. You are here to be present, to respond from the center, to live from the quiet that cannot be disturbed, no matter how loud the world becomes. Because ultimately, someday, this isn't about pretending not to care or becoming numb. It's about feeling fully, loving fully, living fully, but doing so from a space that is anchored, not drifting, open, but not overwhelmed. You don't need to silence others to know peace. You only need to stop allowing their chaos to echo inside you. And when you finally learn to remain still in the fire, you don't just survive the flames. You become the light they reveal.